Das ist schon ein bisschen knapp mit der Vorbereitung.
Mein Flug ist morgen um 10. Bis dahin habe ich Zeit.
Legen wir los? So, 18:15 Uhr habe ich gesagt, es ist pünktlichst 18:15 Uhr. Ich bitte um Verzeihung für die Unterbrechung der jeweiligen Gespräche und würde euch bitten, diese im Nachgang fortzusetzen. Gibt es Fragen? Okay. Es ist tatsächlich wunderschönes Meetup-Wetter. Also herin ist es genau perfekt. Ich bin heute eingeflogen worden, um euch zu begrüßen im Namen der Firma Bearing Point. Freue mich sehr, dass ihr alle da seid. Ich wollte sicher noch irgendwas sagen.
Sag mal was Schönes.
Was Schönes. Es gibt Dinge, die ich sagen muss, die ich jetzt vergessen habe. Eines davon war auf jeden Fall bitte zum Rauchen in den Keller gehen. Nein, in das Erdgeschoss, nicht auf den Terrassen hier und dort. Das ist das neue Bearing Point Büro. Ich weiß nicht, ob ihr das erste Mal hier seid. Ich bin heute das zweite Mal da. Es ist wirklich sehr schön hier. Also das haben sie super gemacht. Dann sollte ich noch Werbung machen für die Bearing Point. Habe ich schon mal Bearing Point gesagt? Werbung für die Bearing Point. Solltet ihr für uns arbeiten wollen, sehr gerne. Solltet ihr mit großen Projekten kommen wollen, sehr gerne. Mein Name ist Sebastian. Ich arbeite auch für die Firma Bearing Point. Wenn ihr irgendwelche Fragen haben solltet, wendet euch gerne im Anschluss an mich. Ja, ihr könnt mir auf irgendwo LinkedIn und so natürlich finden und auch dort ansprechen jederzeit. Vielen Dank an den René. Vielen Dank an die Almudena. Ja?
Jawohl.
Dass ihr das heute hier organisiert habt, dass ihr das heute hier macht. Ich freue mich und gebe damit weiter an dich, René.
Vielen Dank. Wir haben das Meetup auf Englisch ausgeschrieben. Wie schaut es mit euren Deutschkenntnissen aus? Gibt es jemanden, der sagt, Englisch ist wichtig?
Sollte man die Frage nicht auf Englisch stellen?
Would you rather have English as a language?
Yeah, let's do English.
Okay, so let's switch to English then. Firstly, I have to apologize. English is not my native language, so
Mine
most
either.
probably there's going to be some language failures in the next few minutes. Almudena is going to do it better, I'm sure. She's more used to speaking English. First of all, thank you very much to Sylvia. Where's Sylvia? Here. I was calling her or writing to her 2 weeks ago if Bearing Point could host this meetup. And 2 days later, she was saying yes. It was a very short-term decision, so thank you very much for making this possible.
You're welcome. There's a whole team behind.
Who are we? We are just 3 persons, 3 experts in leadership who are motivated to bring new methods of leadership to this region and to talk about it, and to bring persons like Almudena to Graz for giving us some insights on her expertise in leadership topics, in that case in incentives and rewards. John F. Kennedy said, don't ask what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. And in that sense, we kindly ask you to help us follow our mission to bring better leadership to the region of Graz. How can you contribute to it? Well, just share information about the new leadership community, follow us on LinkedIn, comment, like, talk about our events. And as you may have seen already, Johannes has installed 3 cameras and some microphones. So we are doing some filming and some photos for social media. If anybody of you is not okay with that, please approach me or Johannes, and we are going
Cut you out.
to cut you out. Yeah.
Move you to another chair.
Are we allowed to take photos for the presentation?
Please.
Okay.
Please, and put him in social media. And ping me. I'm a consultant, ping me. But yes, from my point of view, of course, but I always ask the other way around if somebody feels uncomfortable to say it.
Yeah. And before I give the microphone to Almudena, a short outlook to our upcoming events. Next week on Friday, we have a new leadership breakfast. It's no talks, no workshops. It's just having breakfast and good conversations, nothing else. In November, we are going to have the next new leadership talk event. We don't have the exact date yet. It will most probably be about playful leadership, but that is not fixed yet as well. Nico is going to have another online book club on some other book. The last book was Humanocracy. And think tank concerts are in preparation. This is some new format by Karola Zakotnik. I think the first event is going to be in November this year as well. So that's enough from our side. And I'm handing over to Almudena for her talk. Thank you.
Now let's do the digital handover. That's always that is the more complicated one. Now let's see if the gods of the connections are with us, because everything was working before. Everything was working before. Yeah, it was working. It's working. Great. English. I think I have the slides in English, actually. I have to check. The accent is the same, English or German, so you are not getting any advantage. Feel free to ask questions in German if you feel more comfortable. Also the ones in Spanish, I take them. And I have posted some pens around if you want to take some notes or some questions. I'm going to make it very interactive, so I won't let you fall asleep. But the good news is that afterwards there are some food up there. You have to get the reward first. Short to my person, you hear this tiny little accent. It's Spanish. I was born in Spain. I went to high school in the United States, went to college in Germany. If somebody would have told me I was going to be working so much in Austria, I would have taken a different decision. But nobody prevented me, so I married a North Friese from all the way north in the border of Denmark. So I didn't prepare my German to the Austrian one on time. I did the homework the last 5 years. I've been now 35 years in Germany, so I have 2 German kids, German husband and Spanish dog. And working all over Europe and Latin America in the area of Agile methodologies, and strongly working in the area from leadership. And we are very active in Management 3.0, this organization which is trying to move management into leadership, whatever that is. Before I move on, why are you here? Talk to your neighbor. Make small pairs, 3 minutes. Why are you here? I mean, you're not getting paid for it. Maybe you didn't want to cook today and you needed some food. Yes, that could be. Could be. It has happened already. Yeah? Why are you here? Now, a spoiler. I don't have a solution. I was afraid that will happen. I don't have a solution. What I have organized here, I changed the slides 20 times. I was just in the hotel putting them upside down, the focus. I mixed up several things. I'm going to speak about rewards, salaries, bonus, but also motivation, as you mentioned. But it's not the motivation talk. I want to talk about a very narrow area, which is incentives. But it is very complex, so it is a very wide variety of factors coming in. And coming back to the simplifications. This is Marty, the Management 3.0 monster. Management 3.0, we have 2 legs, which is leadership and complexity, based on the fact that we need, because management was a bit easier in the 90s, from last century, where things were a bit more straightforward. Complexity has driven to a situation where many managers say, I don't know. How do we do this? And in the 90s, when I started working in Ericsson, my hope was always that my manager knew better than me. And when I left Ericsson, my manager was standing by me and saying, Almudena, I don't have a clue how we do this. So that has changed. Management needs to move into a leadership approach based on the complexity. Those are the legs. And then we have 6 areas which we cover. We speak about improvement, about energizing people. That's where we have motivation, empowering. We are quicker if the people are empowered. Align constraints. To empower, you need to put some very clear constraints, Leitplanken in German, guardrails. So people say, here you are self-organized, outside you are not. You have to secure competence building. Competence building is not just sending people to a course. Something like a meetup, by exchanging experiences, can be competence buildings nowadays. Things have changed. And how do the companies grow? This Organisationsgestaltung. How do we set up? The hierarchies were holding us together, but making us slow, and we cannot afford to be slow. So this is how we move around, and today I'm going to target a small piece about energized people. And within energized people, which you see this, how do we get the people motivated? Yes, that could be another subject. For me today is about how do we set rewards? Do we need rewards at all? I joined Ericsson in 1995, and I got a salary. At that point was a very good one, actually, because it was the times where telecommunications were exploding. 5 years later, it was frozen, and then got frozen for quite a while. Couldn't pay that high salaries anymore. And then, of course, there was a bonus system. Ericsson had a bonus system, which changed over the years. I was 22 years employed. 7 years ago, I created my own company, and where I also have a salary, and I also have a bonus. I can influence it a bit more than in Ericsson, to be honest. Still, that is something that's been with me, and I've seen it change. Go high and down. I've seen 5 years frozen salaries, but people not leaving the company because of other factors that were not the salary. And even trying to make the people leave the company with monetary incentives didn't work. Other factors were keeping the people. Ericsson was desperate. They didn't want to fire because they didn't want to have a bad publicity on the newspapers. So they tried with voluntary, do you want to leave all this money on the table? People wouldn't take it. Why? Coming back to that. Now, you mentioned this. How can we incentive better performance? And when I get these questions, when I get the first question, I get very unfriendly. Say, what makes you think your people are not performing already? That would be my first question. I have sometimes management coming to me, yeah, can't we create a bonus so they perform more? I say, is it possible that they perform more? Are they maybe performing now and you don't see it? Or you think they could be more productive, but you are dreaming? How many times I've seen a backlog of projects and look at the capacity. I said to the managers, I'm sorry, not even Superman can get this done. So the first question is, can we incentive better performance? Or maybe the people are willing to do a good job anyway. But we take the question with us. And the second is, how can we reward people for the work they have done? Do we need to reward them? Coming back to that. It's not going to be a comfortable talk. I have put post-its and pens around so you can write down questions anytime. You can stop me, or maybe you want to write down the question for later, and we can take the questions together at the end, as you want. It's our meetup. I would rather be sitting with you there, but then I cannot have control of the slides. And this is a fact. In the very moment we try, especially monetary rewards, then the focus is broken. And then people, yes, they are motivated by the reward. And here we have quite a few disasters. Some of them are funny. Some of them are not funny. How many companies have been run against the wall by having a bit of a stupid reward system, where people would fight for the reward, even if they had to run the company against the wall? And here you have really funny stories on the dysfunctional behaviors in organizations. There's this nail factory where they try to improve performance. So first they say, okay, let's put a bonus on the weight. Then the nails were bigger. Wrong. Let's put a bonus on the number of nails. Also went wrong. And then you have this one bank in the United States where they put a bonus on the number of accounts being created. And they had suddenly a family with 7 accounts, even an account for the dog. They were all empty. But there was a bonus on number of accounts. And of course, it was a disaster for the bank. And yeah, probably the best one is in children football. It was Bambini training, where you can manage to have them, you are in the back, you are defense, you stay back. Ne? You are scoring, you are at the front, and you are goalkeeper, you stay there. And then you have a grandfather on the run who says, whoever scores a goal gets €5. Forget any strategy. All kids ran into the front trying to score, and of course we lost all the games. So it was a good intention from the grandfather, but putting the reward on the wrong place killed the strategy. The problem is, and you mentioned it, complexity. The problem is that we have a tendency, and this is human, we're human beings, we simplify, we try to simplify. Our brain sees a complex situation and tries to make it simple. So when we think of the old times where you had, in a factory, bananas coming through, you had to put them in a box and then in the lorry, then you could put a reward on the number of boxes because it was an algorithmic, simple activity. So the more boxes you get full of bananas and put in the lorry, the more you get paid. Reward system for high performance. As long as we're talking about algorithmic, simple situations, look right now in the Oktoberfest in München, the daughter of my friend is there serving beers. You see these pictures with 10 mugs because they buy them from the cafeteria and then they sell them on the other side. The more they carry, the more rewards they get. That's the reason they carry the 10 crooks, the 10 mass. These are simple algorithmic behaviors. We are not working serving beers or packing bananas. We have a very complex background. Observing performance got very complex because people go to work, sit all day in front of the laptop and go home. Whether they did a great job for the company or watch Netflix, you don't know. And trying to find out is also difficult. So that is what we are facing. Our brain is trying to simplify, and this reductionism, say, oh, let's put a reward on the number of nails. Doesn't work. I've seen some disasters trying to measure performance of software developers. You're sitting down. What I'm going to show you now is not for underage. I took this picture in an Agile conference. This is a tool which measures number of lines of codes produced for one person, a number of mistakes found. It's not fake. I took the picture in an Agile conference in Berlin. There was a company selling this. Yes, I also cried almost. So you can see clearly here, like this guy has created so many lines of code and has the best quality. He's going to get a bonus. And this one here, okay, and the tool gives you the names. Looks in GitHub. Who has produced which code? Now, the ones from us who develop code know, you want lines of code? You get lines of code. Is that what you're measuring? We give you lines of code. And then you have millions of lines of code full of comments. So this is what simplification, reductionism of complexity can drive us to absurd trying to measure performance. Because you might have this person here who is a master designer who has been all week supporting a junior and doing pairing with them and introducing them to the team, for example. That is not shown here. Or you might have another one here who didn't write more because he was involved in development for the company, the continuous integration strategy. So if you start measuring this here and people find out, they will drop any other activity to support the company. They will stop doing any pairing with juniors. Excuse me, no, I have to write lines of code. They will not support the continuous integration strategies, not measured here, forget about continuous integration, we don't need it. So they will stop doing any activity which is not in the measures which drive to the reward. So it was really a very interesting situation. There is no proof that the rewards system works. There is no evidence. There is very weak evidence or even negative evidence that a reward system has brought some positive impact. Nobody has reported a success so far. If you're lucky, it didn't kill your company. Now, I didn't help you much so far. So far, it was no help at all what I was saying. So now the question comes, is it wrong or right to reward people? I'm asking you, really. What do you think?
It's of course absolutely not wrong. It's of course absolutely not wrong to reward people.
No.
That is what do you reward them for?
What do you reward them for, and how do you reward them? There are different rewards possibilities. Money is nice. It's not always money. Why was Ericsson offering so much money to go, but nobody was taking it? What else was there? There were many factors. There was a family-oriented company, for example. It was Swedish mentality in the 90s. You can run home if you have a problem with the children. Other German companies wouldn't let you do this. You could work from home in the 90s. You could work from home already. So there were factors where no other company was offering. And they were documented nowhere. It was the culture of the company. So all people with the small kids, we all said, I'm not going anywhere. Forget it. Here I can work and take care of my family. Other companies won't let me. So that's one of the many factors. It's very complex. I'm making a simplified zusammenfassung, God, English. Summary. I'm simplifying it now, but it was many other factors, and even the company was surprised. I said, nobody's taking the money. Yeah, it was this mindset. Very flat hierarchy, for example. The hierarchy was very, very flat. You could talk to anybody. I could knock on the door of the director of the whole area. So all put together. And some people left because of money, of course. Whoever was knocking at the door saying, don't you want to come to us? And some did. Perfectly fair. You have a mortgage, and you have a higher salary offer, you go. But then we were in contact and we asked, is it better? And they said, the salary is better. And they didn't say anything else. We're moving in a direction. Let's move on. Two factors which are probably you're familiar with, but play a huge role. First one is extrinsic motivation. Here's money, one of the main ones. Could be something else. Could be a career. Could be a position, a new position as career. Could be some other factor. It's what drives us from outside. You have biological needs and you have external needs. And, of course, here comes to the fact salary. Salary shouldn't be a reward, something we have anyway. Otherwise, you're working for a non-profit organization. So we'll need a salary, we'll have a mortgage, yes. But before we go into rewards, the first thing we have to do is secure salary is out of the table. That's the subject salary. That salary is not, money is not a subject of conversation all the time. If people focus on money in the company, they're not properly paid, then they don't focus on being performant. So the approach is pay the people what the market value is. How many years experience do you have? What is your market value benchmarking in Steiermark? That is your salary. Put 5% on top so they stay with you, and then it's the subject salary out of the table. People who are bad pay keep coming back to it, keep coming back to the point salary. And this is what Netflix did in Silicon Valley. Said, how much are you making in your company? 20% on, come with me. Of course, they can fire them as quick as they take them, but that's another thing. And that is what we are trying. Please secure the people are well paid, period. And then we don't talk about salary anymore. And we have bonus, which makes sense. A bonus makes sense. The history of a bonus is if you have a company and you have a fantastic revenue and you have had great sales, and then you have some money over the salaries and over the costs where we should distribute it over the people. The only stupid question is how. But this makes sense. There can be a perversion on bonus. You might have situations where you say, I hire you and this is your salary, but I'm going to give you only a part of it. The other part, I keep it. And you get it as a performance bonus. Not that you come here and you don't work properly. Sorry, you are here sitting at the front. You are my pilot. But say, why are you hiring somebody who you don't trust? From the very beginning, you're already doubting that they'll be working properly. So what is that for setup? So the bonus perversion is what we're trying to avoid. And yes, we are looking for the case that the company has an overflow from good sales, that there is the 100,000 euro where you say, we should distribute them under the employees. We are looking for the one and only solution how to do it. And I can already tell you now, there is off the mark. So far, I didn't meet anybody who was satisfied. I'm going at the end of the presentation, I'm presenting you one approach, which is working in some companies. I've seen here many possibilities. Commerce tools in Germany, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, they said, okay, the whole company, everybody gets 500 euros, period. The one who began yesterday and the one who's been here for years, everybody got the same. You could say, oh no, that is unfair. Okay, what is fair? So in Ericsson, 1995, when I began, my KPIs for my bonus were on my individual level, were on my quality of code, on my activities. You can imagine how much we were collaborating with each other. Who cared about collaboration? So where is the reward? This is the focus. Not only what's behind. And some funny things happen with KPIs tied to the bonus. For example, we have the department from software development and the department for testing. The department for software development had a KPI on highest quality, 0 bugs policy. The department for testing had the KPI on finding as many mistakes as possible. This happened to me. Can you imagine what is this? You had tickets flying between both departments, rejected, approved, rejected again. It's your test. No, it's your code. Until both managers came to the idea to talk to each other. That helped. So what happened in Ericsson was interesting. Each year, the bonus went one step up. That was on department level. It was not on my level anymore. So at least in the department, we were all collaborating in the same direction. Of course, we're not collaborating with the other departments, but at least in the department. Then it was so the bonus went farther up, and at some point, the last years where I was getting a bonus there was on company level with 150,000 people, same parameters, same KPIs. So we all had to drive in the same direction. I personally think it was better. It was not good because they were so abstract, were sales numbers, we couldn't understand them. So they were too far away in Stockholm that we could understand what are we supposed to get the bonus? Do you understand it? No, me too either. Okay, let's just work. At some point, we didn't look at these KPIs anymore, and we did our best. And I think personally, probably that was a good idea. And that's where we're facing this problem. Many Scrum teams where the people in the Scrum team belong to different departments, and I tied to different KPIs. And I've been in the situation that in the Scrum team, at the end of the year, 2 people got a bonus and the rest didn't. Nice. Yeah, and then you want to cry. You just want to cry. So I tried to coach the teams to say, could we at least get the bonus on team level, that the Scrum team, as such? And maybe the team of teams, not because then if they all had some individual KPIs, they don't collaborate. So the farther up we bring it, the more chances we have that they don't hurt. That is one hint from my experience. Please.
But one question, do you see any border how high you can go? Because as you said, if you have 150,000 people, your work has simply no
Or many
influence.
years. And my manager came to me with once a year, said, these are your targets for this year. Don't ask me to explain them to you. I said, yes, please, do it. So we took it with humor. Because, yeah.
I know this, but I know exactly the situation. Yeah.
But then bring them back down.
Yeah.
In the moment where you put them, you stop collaboration. The farther down they are, you stop collaboration. This way, they were too abstract, but we just did a good work. And then the bonus letter was like Christmas. You open it, and you didn't know what you get. So this year, we have 69%. Fine, great. You couldn't complain because you didn't know why. But I'm not sure if this was bad, if I'm looking back. I cannot tell this was a bad idea because I haven't seen anything better. Where I will say, oh yes, that will be better. I haven't seen anything better than that, and it's not good. I'm moving on. We can have done a beautiful discussion. And then we have intrinsic motivation. The amazing thing about intrinsic motivation, or what's coming from you, from inside, is, and that struck me when I found out, intrinsic motivation was discovered in 1949. 1949 in University of Wisconsin, they put some monkeys in some cages, and they should do some puzzles. And the investigator went to the kitchen to pick up the bananas to motivate the monkeys to do the puzzles, because the monkeys do puzzles when they get bananas. And suddenly he arrived, and the monkeys had solved the puzzle because they were bored. So they had started, and by the time they tried to give them the external incentive, they have solved the puzzle. And then it was for the first time documented, it could be an intrinsic drive. That is 1949. If you think in the history of mankind, that is only 75 years ago, in the history of mankind, we found out yesterday that there is intrinsic motivation. So that was, and the most funny thing is, between 1949 and 1959, 10 years long, nothing happened. We had found out there was intrinsic motivation and nothing happened. And then some movement came in the 60s. In the 60s, where people began doing more experiments, and then with human beings, and with monkeys without bananas, and then you had a lot of experiments, and we got into all these motivation theories. They are all born a couple of years ago. That is impressive. We didn't know we had intrinsic motivation. And now we have a lot of investigation this way, too many almost. This is the Daniel Pink Drive. If you want to read one book, it's very American, but very with a lot of examples, very interesting. He speaks about these 3 factors: purpose, mastery, and freedom. There are also the 16 factors. In Management 3.0, we speak about 10 factors. I don't care whether you take 3, 16, or 10. Main thing, you keep them in mind when we speak about rewards, because we are still speaking about rewards. I didn't finish. Now, what he says here, Daniel Pink, high performance is sometimes based on people just wanting to do a good job. 2010, the University of Manchester, 2 investigators got the Nobel Prize for isolating the graphene. So far, everybody knew this element existed, but it could not be isolated. And they managed to do it in the University of Manchester. So far, sounds like an investigation program. It wasn't. From Monday to Friday, they were running the projects they were paid for. And Friday's evening, they opened a beer, like you hear, and said, hey, come on, what shall we investigate today? I always wanted to look into the graphene. Let's do it. And they won the Nobel Prize, just because they felt like doing it. Mastery and freedom. They took their time off. Work was over, now we can do whatever we want. I had a company in Barcelona, they were writing online games. And in Spain on Fridays at 2 o'clock, they finish. I mean, they work 12 hours a day the other 4 days. But on Friday, 2 o'clock, everybody goes home. And this company told me, Almudena, we let the people on Friday play around on one game live on one market. And we say, this one game in the Asian market, you can try things out live. And they told me, sometimes at 7 o'clock in the evening, they are all here. They have the freedom, they have a clear purpose, and they want to get it. Look, I put an avatar. Let me look. I put another avatar here. That is the power of intrinsic motivation. And I got involved in Ericsson very strongly in the Agile transformation, but we had no more budget. And at some point, there was this going from 4G to 5G was in the telecommunication a bit of a difficult area. And we also had traveling stop. And I got invited to the London conference of agility to speak. I was proud. And my manager said, Almudena, 0 budget. You cannot travel. I said, look, my dear, I'm going to go there, even if I have to swim over the channel and sleep under the bridge. And he said, I know you, you're going to do it. And he managed, somehow, somewhere, he said, okay, how can you drop the cost? I said, I can sleep at a friend in London. I said, okay. Oof. He managed to find some money to pay the trip. And I slept in a sofa at my friend's, and it was not a typical business trip. But he knew how to motivate me. He knew if she goes there, she's going to make overtime in agility and all the agile transformation as I did, because I gave her the mastery she wanted. So that was for me, from that point, I was very lucky to have people motivating me around. There is a video, if you don't want to read the book, there is a video on YouTube, 10 minutes long, summarizing the book, and it's really good. It's very, very good. It's a summary, actually, from what I'm telling today, but with American accent. And I also ran into people saying, yeah, and this happened to me in an objective key results workshop where somebody was sitting there and said, okay, no, we will put the bonus on the key results. I say, hell no. Hell no. Then you kill the objective key results too. Then I said, then drop it, and just do just KPIs. Don't worry about objective key results, because you're going to kill them with that. And then I said, but Almudena, we have to put the bonus somewhere. I said, put it wherever you want, not on the key results. So this is also a pitfall which we are observing a lot. Can we use the OKR for the bonus system? No. Now, what I'm going to give you, finally, after pitching around, please.
This is not what Google is using? Pardon me? This is not what Google is using?
Google brought them back.
Yeah.
Google grew with OKRs in the 70s. They came from Intel, but they were really exploded in Google. They made really famous. The famous first book on OKRs came from this Google work. And Google brought them back over years. Nothing happened because they are from the 70s. For God's sake, nothing new. And a couple of years ago, consultants have to sell something new every couple of years ago. So 3 or 4 years ago, somebody got them out of the bag again. And now everybody's screaming for objective key results. But yes, they were put on the map through Google, and they are 50 years old. But yes, we are giving them another try with some success. That is for another talk. What I'm going to give you now is 6 guidance. If you have to reward, and at the end I'm going to give you 2 ideas, a simple one and a difficult one. So you're a bit happy, and you come back when I come. Some people came back already, I'm so happy. Management Manual says, we don't know how the heck you're going to put your rewards, but if you do it, if you have to reward, follow these 6 rules. And I really like this system. Picture. And number 1, we had our bonus always in March. And in February, everybody was nervous. Like even we had mortgages, like you can't tell, how much do you think it will be? Do we make it to 6%? I don't know. So everybody was looking, is the letter there? Make it unexpected. If you have to reward, do it on a Wednesday, middle of the summer. So then people don't have the reward in mind. It's a surprise. Otherwise, if there's expectation already, the focus moves to the reward. If you have to anticipate it, keep them small so that it's not worth to work for the reward. We'll say when the project finishes, you knew once the project is finished, we went for dinner. After every project in the PMO, we said project is done, we went for dinner. I mean, the dinner was good, but it's not that you work for the dinner. So if something which is planned, is a planned reward, keep it very small. If we will have known when the project is finished, each of us gets €1,000, we will have behaved differently. So anticipated, fair enough, keep them small. Can we keep the rewarding continuously, not once a year? How can we make rewards continuous? Not regularly, but continuous. Like maybe this month 3 times, maybe next month once, that they come more often. Not this 1 year payment bonus. Can we look for other ways where the bonus we can keep it? I do think a company should have bonus as long as people are prepared to know there might be a year without a bonus because sales numbers didn't work out. And what can we think of possibilities to go to our teams? I say, you know what? Weather is going to be great. Wednesday, let's make a barbecue. The company paid. We had one in Ericsson. We had a company barbecue. And the whole Geschäftsführung, all the directors were behind doing the sausages, putting on the plates. They were all dressed up as cooks, and they were all serving us. They were all directors of the company serving us in a barbecue. It was really funny. And it was very nice. It was a surprise. But they said, let's reward our people for the good job. We're going to cook. Put some bratwurst on the grill. But we're going to cook for them. So think of this sort of, and make us all smile. To see them, they're prepared behind, what do you want to eat? Make it public. And this is sometimes people don't like it. I don't like my name being announced. Okay, well, but try to make it public. We had it in I will show you the kudos system. We had it in Desigual. Every Friday, we announced the rewards, and we made it really loud in the open space, and there was Spaniards screaming, ovation, clutching, yay! And this goes for Maria, wow! Some people get embarrassed, but you put them in the spotlight. And this is, of course, a hard one. We want to reward high performance. Why? We don't want to reward this one architect who spent 1 week supporting a junior to get involved in our system, or we don't want to reward this guy who spent days setting up the Jenkins we didn't want to run and fighting with it and repairing Jenkins so the continuous integration could run. We don't want to reward this. Or we don't want to reward our Scrum Master in the retrospective. Sometimes he brought the cakes he had baked. And she was Mexican. She brought tequila. she brought some idea. And we had a really nice guy who always made us laugh. Very nice guy in the team. Very funny guy from Iran, Mossi, who always made us laugh. Yes, always made you, whatever he said, you had a smile on your face. We don't want to reward this. And if somebody screws it up, we don't want to reward the learning for the rest of the company. I always say, from being a consultant, I have amazing customers, and I had some difficult customers. And the couple of times where I failed is where I learned most. All my customers profit not from my success, but from my failures, because I won't repeat them. That will not happen to me again. So that is, how can we just reward people doing a good job, and a good job is not performance. A good job is giving the best for the company. Last one, who rewards? Who gives the rewards? They mostly come top-down. That makes the difference even higher. Even if you have a flat hierarchy, it's me bringing the reward downstairs. I make it stronger. Can we reward in a different way? And the most funny thing when it comes to performance evaluations is that managers, if I wanted to make the performance evaluation from, what's your name?
Nicole.
For Nicole, the manager asked the colleagues of Nicole to make the performance evaluation because he was not sitting with her all day looking at her work. So your peers are the right people to know if your performance should get a reward or not. At the end of the day, managers were asking the peers for feedback. So we had also in Ericsson, the manager could choose some people to report about you, and we could propose people. Like my manager said, who do you want me to ask? I gave 2 names, and he asked also 2 other people. But at the end of the day, he was asking other people to decide about my performance. What happens with this system, which sounds so beautiful?
Everybody gets best performance, isn't it?
We were very solidarious. Nobody ever beats around of a colleague, apart from the fact that we had great colleagues. And I had one manager who kept asking me, and kept asking me about one person. But he's a bit provocative. I said, that's the greatest thing about him. We need that. And he's a bit that. At some point I said, look, we can stay here all day. I'm not going to say what you want to hear. Are we finished? So that sounds so beautiful, the system, but it doesn't work either. Or you have really a problem in the, or you have really a problem. But if the people have this performance, it's very difficult to differentiate it. Try to focus. That is like with us with children. No, you all the time, don't do that, don't do this, don't go that. No, you teach this pedagogic language. It's better if you stay with math. Don't say the word no, don't say the word no, don't. So it's try to highlight things which are going good. Because people are not stupid. They know when something goes wrong. And you feel when I've done a mistake, I don't need anybody to remind me. I know it myself. I'm sitting there saying, shit. So, and under our colleagues on our company, I'm very, very happy when something goes wrong. Another one right away highlights the good things. But think, Almudena, about the good thing about this. No? We support each other. Because if something was wrong, we already are our own punishment. So, if we say we should have peer rewarding, and if we say your peers know better how to reward you, what is the involvement on management and leadership in deciding on rewards?
Can we just not ask people what they want?
Not ask what they want?
No, ask people what they would like, maybe.
Like, for example, what could the question look like?
What compensation could be motivating for you? What type of compensation would be motivating for you?
Very good point. Very good point.
For setting the boundaries.
Setting some boundaries. Very good point. Setting.
What do we have for sharing?
Yeah, saying good point. Saying that is the boundary. And how do you want, for example, to distribute it? Hey, you're good. It's a possibility, of course, a dream. But theoretically, after all the beautiful theory we've seen, could be a solution. It has already been implemented. I'm going to show it to you. So coming back to the, just a moment. I'm going to make a small exercise together now. Coming back to the 6 rewards rules. I'm not giving you a solution, but if you have to set a reward, this helps. And if you don't apply them all, you say, sorry, Almudena, still has to come from management. Okay, can we do it irregularly? Can we say this year the bonus will be in summer, next year the bonus will be in March, so people don't focus on it? Or people don't know when it's going to come, the bonus. At some point of the year, the bonus arrives. For example, can we try to keep some of these rules? That helps. Now, coming back to our 2, 5, 6 small groups of 3, and think, after looking at these rules, did you get a reward? You know somebody else who got a reward in your organization. How many of these rules were satisfied and how could we improve? Do we have one example? We'll have one live example from your working life. If you make 5, 5, 4, 5, we will have 4 groups. Give you 5 minutes to do some brainstorming. Anybody has a good idea. This happened to us in the company, or I know somebody who did like this. And how many of these rules are followed? One will be already good. Okay, give it a try. See what happens. Group up, like there are 5, 5, 4, 5, or however you want. You are free to group up as you think is right. Now, moving on. Thank you for your inspiration. I'm going to give you 2 things. Maybe you know them. The one is easy. Kudo cards. Kudo cards fulfill the 6 rules. Kudo cards are as simple as you see. You can download them in all languages from the page for Management 3.0, and it's high technology. You have a box, and you have paper, and this is all digitalized also, although I must say, digitally is not the same. And we had a box like this in Desigual, in this fashion company, which I happen to be a fan from. And we had this box, and on Friday, it was open. And a kudo for Maria because he has done this and that, and everybody screaming through the corridors. And a kudo for Jose, and why? So this kudos is public, is from your peers. We made it regularly on Friday, but that is continuously, but you could put it in you could make it regularly. And we had small rewards. What happened with this information? There was like, you can have a small box with like a Kinder Chocolate, with a Amazon goods voucher for 10 euros. You had the small things. And the one who got many kudos could get a small present. So you wouldn't fight for the kudos for a Kinder Chocolate. The small rewards. A small one, if you had 4 kudos this week, say, okay, you can look for something. Say, oh, yeah, take the Kinder Chocolate. So it makes everybody smile, and it makes a beautiful atmosphere. And then you go to a company, and you see walls like this, or I've been in companies where all the wall covered with kudo cards. It's impressive. It's amazing. If you don't know them yet, try it out. It's also... here you see sometimes the mindset of the company. I've tried it in many companies, and some of them didn't work. It was a bit, say, what's right? Say, did your colleagues say a good joke? Yes. Then say thank you for the joke. What? So you have to see how far can we go. But we had also in some courses playing around with them, and people got fond of it. Helps. Please.
Do you have experience, for example, you tried it out for a few weeks, and, for example, people were just not really into it, yeah? So there's some kind of, resistance to this. Maybe they think, yeah, it's not that funny, we're not here for this. Do you have such experience?
Yes. Yes, we're not for fun here.
Yeah, or not for fun, but they just don't see the point of this, maybe.
We had I was hired by Fujitsu in London to have a course in Spanish for people from Sevilla. And in the room close by, there was the same course going on for the British people from Americans. And at some point, they all came over to see what was happening because we were laughing so much. The laughter was so strong in our course. I mean, I'm Basque, I'm from the north, and they're from the south, and all the stereotypes fulfill. So we're teasing each other all the time. At some point, the Americans came, what's wrong, Almudena? I said, oh, we're going fine, thank you. So yeah, sometimes people are impressed or surprised that you are laughing. Yes. Then tells me a lot about the culture of the company, and we know what we have to do. Work coming up. And like I say, this is amazing. I will say, give it a break and bring it back again. They take away when something, a change trial doesn't work, stop in and try it again. Now, second one, merit money. You already put the basis. You said we had a recognition tool. Excellent. What do we do with the results? And here you have the concept of merit money. Here we bring all the 6 factors. And this could be a revolution for bonus system, but it is already being done in some companies. Your peers know better who has done a good job. That is peer recognition put into bonus and even put into money. Peers publicly acknowledge whatever somebody has done, and it can turn into gifts on money. I'm going to show you how it turns into money. You might acknowledge your manager. You might acknowledge the director of the company. So how this works is, every month, each of us gets 100 points. Let's call it points. Let's call it whatever unit we want to have. So each of us 100 points, and you have to distribute them. So if I do an excellent job with Nicole, then I say publicly, Nicole, thank you that you helped me so much. Here you have 10 points.
Please. Doesn't that have a lot to do with sympathy?
Could be.
And the poor asshole in the cellar who is doing database jobs all night long is not the one who receives any points then?
I'm coming to the gaming of the system. Like I say, no system is perfect, but this seems to be working a bit more. Of course, you might have people gaming it, or you might have people who were overseen. I must say, I believe on the wisdom of the crowd. I've seen through our kudos system recognition to people who are not always on stage. You have sometimes hard-working people who they don't like to be on stage or be visible. We had an amazing, in my Scrum team, an amazing architect. He's really good, Michael. He was a very shy, quiet person. But if you went up to him with a problem, he'll stay until night to help you. And to bring him, that people will see that, was not easy. So I know what you're speaking about, but somebody in the crowd noticed. Somebody knows this better than anybody else. So wisdom of the crowd is what applies here. And coming to the gaming. Now, here we have constraints. Salaries are clearly, bonus are not expected. It's about collaboration, peer feedback, and we support intrinsic motivation. How can this look like? Stop there. I'm going to show you a tool. Bonusly, this is implemented. You have here recognition to a person. You say why you recognize, and you give this person 20 points. It is public, here I can see it. If you are gaming, you say, Sebastian, you give me 50 points and give you 50. It works once, maybe twice. Afterwards, somebody's going to notice. There's a database behind. So it is public. And you say why, and it might be just for saying a good joke. It's your decision to give this person 20 points. And then you all have an account with points. I might have 350, you have 400, you have 500 points. At some point in the year, you don't know when, the company says, okay, we have 20,000 euros, we're going to convert the points in money. Then amount of points distributed, divided through the money, that is what 1 point is worth, and that's the money you get. In Management 3.0, they were throwing the dices every month. And if the dices were 2-6, then they distributed money. So you never knew when rewards was coming. This is working. If you go to Bonusly, this is already being applied in many companies. It's a huge revolution to our actual bonus system. I told you I was giving you a very simple approach, kudos, and a very complex one, merit money. But merit money fulfills all 6 factors, and merit money is really the best approach to reality. Who has done a good job? A good job is also making a cake for your colleagues. Because we cannot measure performance. What if somebody plays? What if somebody plays around? What if 2 people abuse it? Might be somebody who really likes Kinder Chocolate, looks that they always get the kudos. What if somebody's trying to get a bit close to the boss, giving him kudo cards? We are humans. There will always be a gaming. But believe me, I've been in equality and I've been in metrics and I've been in statistics, working in a PMO from a multinational. I guarantee you any KPI can be manipulated, so even legally. I'm Latino. Do you want the number? You get it. Even legally, we could get any number we wanted. People have great fantasy to reach a KPI, so let's try it another way anyway. Gaming is all going to be our nature. The risk is what's happening if we don't trust our people. That is a risk.
But that's a risk anyway.
Yeah. So what is if this is put it in the culture? What is if the kudos show that people shouldn't be having fun? So I say between the risk that somebody games. We had it, so many companies were concerned, our people not working from home during the COVID. I said, are you really going to try to control them? I don't have a clue what my assistant is doing. I don't count his hours, I don't know what he does. But he does the job I need. And somebody asked me once, and if he's gaming you? I said, I couldn't care less. He does the work that I need. Should I start controlling the hours? So what about trying to trust our people? Good. That was it. Some interesting ones is drive and punish by rewards.
Could I ask 2 questions about
As many as you want. I was going to say, muchas gracias por vuestra atención. Ha sido un placer. Qué gusto que estéis aquí. I like to speak a couple of minutes a day without an accent. And of course, I'm open to all questions. With the beer in the hand or without the beer in the hand is the small reward we have today. Thank you very much.